Welcome
Hey,
back. Hey there, Dr. Helm.
how you
Here we
doing,
are.
Dr. KP?
I'm doing all right. Here we are, riffing while black. Two minds, one vibe, with occasional side eye. Is that how it goes?
That's an occasional side eye. That's right.
And so, just really glad to be here. But let's get into it because we got plenty to talk about today.
Oh,
Let
there's
me.
so much going on, and some of
Oh,
it's not so great.
nah,
No,
some is
no,
crazy.
right.
Well, let me just go through the list real quickly, and then we can figure out which one we want to start off with.
Okay.
Uh, Last week we talked about Charlie Kirk's assassination murder, and so another topic we wanted to topic we want to talk about is the silly people who keep on posting inappropriate things about Kirk's murder.
Right.
Then we want to talk about this is one I want to learn a little bit more about. I think uh, dating swipe right culture. And then we got Kennedy's nonsense about medical advice. You may have heard about this in the news where he's wanting to get rid of mental health screenings and instead focus on natural sources of mental well-being. So we'll
Oh,
dig
and
into
wait,
that.
don't forget about Florida's, we're gonna bring the topic back from last week of kind of encouraging parents not to vaccinate their children and getting rid of any
Yes.
vaccine mandates.
Yeah,
Yes.
not mandating them in Florida, only state to do that. Then
Yeah.
number four is the impact of hate ruling the day. There's this difference between cancel culture and maybe a new phrase some of y'all have heard, consequence culture.
Oh, I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, that's we'll get into that. And then our
Okay.
side eye is for I don't think you know him. I don't know him personally, but Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled yesterday. We're gonna have some side eye around that. But
Right.
before we get into it, I want to get into our Jim Bait card for today.
Okay.
And I
I'm
thought
ready.
this one was makes sense for today. This is our Jim Bait card. It's I'm arriving here feeling blank. I'm arriving here feeling blank. You want to take that on?
Okay. I want to say this was last week's card because last
Mm-hmm.
week I was stressed as hell. That's how I arrived. Today I am arriving here feeling very positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. That's good. That positivity is important, especially in this time and age. I'm feeling some angst because it's just not because I'm not optimistic and things are going to pan out. I think that's something I just try to maintain. But there's some angst because the seems like every day there's a new kind of development of sorts that seems to be having a direct impact on people's lives, and particularly I think about the increasing number of the black women I think you and I both are familiar with who have been canned from their jobs, and it continues to be
Yeah.
a challenge. And then just so much going on. But I'm also optimistic because I also feel like the sense of, hey, all we can do is work together, collaborate with one another, and do the best we can. So that's how I'm feeling today. But which ones you want to tackle first? You want to talk about the folks' response to Kirk or the dating
Yeah.
culture? You want,
No, the results because I can't believe the number of people who have posted inappropriate things and lost your job. Right. Like, so I was just talking, like, there's to the point where it actually prompted me as a parent to have a conversation with my children about what is appropriate to put out there. Like, you're allowed to feel whatever it is you feel. Right. And as we talked about last week, regardless of whether you co signed on some of Charlie Kirk's messaging and some of the things he was saying, or really can't get on board with any of it, I can't get on board with any of it. He didn't deserve to be assassinated. People were traumatized by his assassination, right? If you want empathy, right, you sometimes have to practice it first, right? And even if I don't like his messaging, I don't think he deserved to be assassinated.
and let me say it maybe slightly different. I personally think fuck Kirk, Charlie Kirk, but I didn't want that man killed. And the challenge is that people have gone on, and when I think about inappropriate things, is people who are basically saying he deserved it,
Yeah.
and believing that in some places across this country there aren't going to be any consequences.
Yeah.
And I think for me it's a weird place to be in because you know I remember when social media was just becoming on the scene, right? and people started jobs were starting to look at what people were saying on their social media,
Yeah.
and they were stopping them from being hired. But what we see now is people are getting fired from their positions, and there's a part of me is like, man, how does all our personal kind of experiences seeming to have a strong impact on how we're perceived at our work situations? And so I don't know. I still feel like I'm sometimes on the fence, but I do feel like there is a line that is crossed, and what
Yes.
that line is seems to change with who's in office and where the power seems to be and all that kind of stuff.
Well, when you put hate into the world, there's so much hate. Like, this is a topic that we're going to talk about later in today's podcast, but why put it out there? First of all, even if you feel all kinds of hateful things, right? Why about this man or the way that he died? Why put it out there? Number one, because when you whatever you put out there often comes back to you. But you put it out there so that everybody can read. Like, these are private thoughts. Keep them to yourself.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm still on the fence on this one. I'll be honest. Not that you're not right. I think the challenge is that social media ends up being the place where we really express ourselves, particularly
Right.
this generation that's coming up. I think for our generation, Generation X, we're still clutching our pearls every time someone gets on there and tells all their business. You're like, oh my God, why would
Yeah.
you do that?
Right.
But they're doing it,
Right.
and the question is, are there should there be consequences for them being public about their opinions? I mean, we got people out there believing women should be at the house. They
Hmm.
shouldn't be working outside the home. They believe in fascism. Not
Yeah.
democracy is weakness. I mean, there are some really foul ways that people believe in this country, but I think we've always believed that you have the freedom of having those thoughts and having to share those ideas. The question is, when do we have? What are the consequences for
Yeah.
sharing those ideas publicly?
And
And
when
I
does
don't
it
know.
go too far? Yeah. When does it go too far? And, I mean, everybody maybe has a different benchmark for when it goes too far. But when you say, again, I really go back to when you put hate into the world, it comes back to, and right now there's so much hate about, and I'm not trying to glorify Charlie Kirk. Like, I think that,
Mm-mm.
the things that he talked about to me were vile. Like, I have a visceral
Yes.
reaction to
Yes.
some of the hate messages that he was talking about
Yeah.
all these different groups of people, some of which I represent, right?
Right.
But I don't think he deserved to be murdered,
Right.
right? I don't think he deserved to be murdered. And, when you put hate out there like that, right, then you can't turn around and ask for empathy,
Right. And
right?
I guess I feel like what we're talking about is that again, you can vehemently and theatrically and bombastically disagree with Charlie Kirk, right?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you need to call for his death or say that his death somehow was justified. And I think that's the line that many of us are really drawing here, right?
Yeah.
There's other people who will disagree, and they'll say, well, he was persecuted because he was a Christian, and because of his values and his focusing on freedom of speech and all this kind of. I'm like, I don't think that man was a martyr. They got videos, AI videos of him right now where he's supposed to be in heaven with John and a bunch of other folks have been who are actually persecuted for their religion, and they're associating him with those individuals. And I'm
Right.
like, you must be smoking the best kind of meth, crack, whatever it is out there, because there's no way that's true. But it doesn't mean
Yeah.
one that I should be calling for his death, or that his
Well,
death
and
is justified.
what's interesting is, and this is how hate culture spreads. Then there were bomb threats at HBCUs, as if HBCUs had anything to do with his murder, and anything at all. But that's what happens, where it spreads, and then we're going to target those people over there because of this horrific thing happened, right? And
Right.
so, when does it stop? When
Well,
does it stop?
yeah, and I guess I actually wrote a blog about this idea that, whether it's everything that's around Charlie Kirk or some of the people who are supportive of him, and even with Trump, there's kind of this trickster mindset. And this trickster creates a lot of confusion,
Mm,
upheaval, because the purpose of it is the end result, which is power,
yep.
wealth, and
Yep.
I think that's always been the problem I had with Charlie Kirk is that
Dissension.
yes, dissension, distrust in
Yes.
our systems, our relationships with one another. And I think that's
Yes.
what Charlie Kirk and other people like him have represented. And they've profited off of it. right?
Yeah.
They made millions and millions of dollars standing in this kind of ten toes deep kind of mindset. It doesn't mean he should be killed.
Right. 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 Exactly. Exactly. And, but there's this intolerance in our world right now for difference. There's competition for scarce resources, right? People are saying terrible things about people that are not me. You're not me.
Right.
You don't look like me. You don't vote how I vote. And so, it's exhausting. It's emotionally draining. And it's just, I mean, what are you teaching our kids? Right, about being able to tolerate differences. If you don't think like me, therefore you deserve X, Y, and Z. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is terrible, and it's like, how can I mean, if I've had a few friends, I say friends loosely here, friends who are like, well, he was a great orator, he was a debater, he expressed ideas that people were afraid to share.
Who are you
I
friends with?
say, huh?
Who are you friends with?
Well, hey, I got a couple of Republican friends out there. I keep, we sometimes we don't talk about these topics, but I do get curious about their perspective. And yes, he did represent some ideas that are out there. My concern is this, is that because it's a gotcha moment. It's viral, and so becomes what wasn't mainstream now has become mainstream,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And people are saying, "Well, I just believe that always." I'm like, I don't know if that's. I don't know. I feel like it's almost like we some people have just taken on this way of thinking because it seems provocative. It doesn't seem. It's
Yeah.
kind of like with Kanye. I'm just trying to be a free thinker. No, you're not.
Well, I just, personally, I'm exhausted of the violence and the hate and the lack of empathy, right? And the divisiveness. And I mean, it's terrifying and it's exhausting and it's dangerous, as we've just seen. It's dangerous, and I don't know, KP. I'm just ready for a break from the hate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're saying it. Break from the hate, break from the vitriol, and
Yeah.
taking it. We've been saying this for a while. Take it down a notch. I think the challenge is that there's always politically at least, but even on a social, there's always this need to find something that's outlandish and provocative and
Yeah.
shocking, because that's what, at least on social media, but that's how our brains work. We pay attention to those things. That's how
We
we
do.
get
Right.
people, you know and so being nice and watching a bunch of kittens and puppies on the internet just isn't going to go as far.
I like kittens and puppies, especially puppies.
I like puppies too, but for some reason I spent the weekend watching ratchet ass TV. People
Nope, I'd rather
acting
watch puppies. Thank you.
beautiful, beautiful in black. I watched way too many episodes of that show, and people just I should have had a bingo card for how many times they said nigger, nigger,
Oh.
nigger, nigger. And then afterwards, I was like, I need to go watch a romance
Wait,
show
you
and go
need
for a
to
walk.
cleanse from that experience. You need a cleanse.
And maybe that's what we're talking about. We need to
Yeah.
cleanse from all this
We need a cleanse
nonsense.
from the violence and the hate and the not getting along and the who voted for who. And I am not a Pollyanna kumbaya type of chick in any way, shape, or form, right? I'm really not. But I think it is so damaging and it makes society feel really unsafe.
Yes. And the last thing I'll say, I think the reason why for me it's such a challenge because it feels very much manufactured, right?
Mm,
It's
mm.
okay. Yes, I'm concerned because the global economy has left me out. Yeah, that's a real concern. But I'm now you're saying as a Christian, as a white male, I'm persecuted. They're being reverse racism. I mean, you went from having a legitimate concern
You got people
to,
who really believe that though.
oh
So
yeah, that's
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 their
what's so
truth.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
their
Well,
truth.
I mean, that's their truth.
It is
They
their
believe
truth,
that.
but I don't think it's based on reality either. And
Well,
and,
but here,
and
I guess here's the thing. Like, yeah, we get to disagree. Somebody doesn't have
hmm
to die over it. Like, yeah, we don't
right,
agree. Like,
right,
we don't have to agree
yeah, yeah.
on
And
a
I guess
lot of
I guess what I'm sharing is I think that the challenge is that what being able to distinguish between what's manufactured and what's
fair.
real. And
Yeah.
and I think for a
Well,
lot of people, their inability to distinguish between wisdom and fallacy, or what's not actually true, is really, it's seen as the same thing, and that inability to distinguish between the two is, for me, fundamentally the problem.
But you're talking about thinking critically, doing your own research, right? All of the things that in today's world of sound bites and articles that are summarized for you,
Yep.
and nobody reads a newspaper, they're out, right? Nobody watches the news anymore, and the news is slanted, right? That, go against the culture that we're in. We're just the
Yep.
old folks that are left over.
I don't know. Yes and no, because when I talk to younger folks who are millennials, Gen Zers, they express the same frustrations. They express
Okay.
concerns about wanting to leave the country because they feel like they can't be the person they want to be here, and
Hmm.
they're what they're looking for is a way out. They want to slow things down. They want to be in nature. They want to get away. I mean, I think there's a similar thread that you can find across generationally. It's just it looks different, and our tolerance for the manufactured nonsense, I think, is different.
Well,
I'm
and
at
all
my
that
wits end. I'm sorry.
escapism, the escapism fantasies bespeak of the emotional exhaustion that comes with the 24-hour news cycle that
Mm-hmm.
never
Mm-hmm.
ever ends, and even viral culture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Hence
we
why.
don't have to worry about that because our podcast is not viral.
Not yet.
It's
Not
not
yet.
viral.
Well, okay. Let's figure out. Maybe we should talk about the dating swipe right culture. I want to know more about that from you.
Okay, well, so you're not going to know more of it from me personally because, of course, before I got married, which was, about 15 years ago now, I
For the
did
internet.
all the dating things one could do to find a partner, right? I did Match.com back in the day, right? I did a dating service. I did, going out by myself. Like I did all those things, right? So I miss the swipe right culture, but in some ways it fits in with what we're talking about now because it allows you to dismiss people based on superficial criteria without ever getting to know them.
True, but is that any different than reality?
I don't know. Right. Come on now. Have you been swiping on people?
Yeah, I be swiping. I swipe them on in reality. I swipe them in online because I be looking. I be like, nah, swipe right, baby, swipe right. I mean, I
Okay.
know they do it to me. I know they do.
Well,
I'm
so
back in
what type of
college,
thing are you
huh?
swiping on? What
Just
kind of
swiping. I'm a victim of swipe right because when I was in college, I remember I had a friend go ask this girl who I thought was finer than an alligator's hair. And I said, let her know that I'm interested. I didn't want
Smarter
to
than an
sound
alligator. What? What?
finer than an alligator's hair. Yeah. And I just wanted her to let my friend, let the woman I was interested in, to just, let her know I was interested. Nothing aggressive or over the top. Just
Okay.
mention it. I saw
Okay.
them talking over there. First thing she said was, she held her little finger, and I said, "What does that mean?" She came back, said, "Yeah, I don't think she's interested." And I said, "What?" I saw her put her finger. What's that supposed to mean? She goes, "Yeah." He said, "Your legs were too skinny. Swipe right.
Your legs are too skinny.
Swipe
Okay.
right."
Wait, okay. Well, wait. So here's what's funny about swipe right, right? So that show called The Later Daters. Remember I told you about that show?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I saw it.
Here's the funniest thing about that. It seems to not matter how old we get because The Later Daters, which has come, it's on Netflix and it's
Yes,
come through the Obama's production company, right?
yes,
And that, people who are in their 50s and 60s are still like, his legs are too skinny. And I'm like, you
yes,
70 years old, why do you care?
yes.
Like, and so does it ever go away? Like, so maybe that's
No,
your point that it's reality, but that we are judging somebody on superficial criteria. This really gets in the way of getting to know someone. And it still exists no matter how old you are. That's sad to me.
it's sad, but it's the
It's,
reality.
it is reality.
Because I remember when I started dating, people were like, I have this friend of mine. She's so sweet. She's so kind. She has a good heart. I'm like, so she's ugly.
you, you are foul. You are foul. Come
Because
on now.
because
So,
if they were
you can have a
attractive,
good heart and have a good personality and be attractive. That's bias. That's
no,
bias.
yes, I do have a bias. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. And if they were like mildly or more attractive, they would have led with that in the first two sentences.
Be the change you want to see.
Yes, I care about a good heart and a good face and a nice booty. I'm just saying.
But you
We
can't
got these long backs walking around trying to rule the world. I can't have that.
hold out your hand, long back. Hold out your hand. I'm gonna pep your hand. These long backs. No, he did it.
I mean, but I
I'm gonna
do
swipe
hear.
right on you this conversation. Long backs. What is wrong with you? And long backs. I didn't have any social reference to in this moment. I'm mad at you.
These little flat booties just walking around ruling things.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you are such a black man. Jesus.
And the thing is, I used to feel a little bad about that because there's a part of me is like not to be judgmental and love all people, goodness, blah blah blah. But someone told me, it says you should not be ashamed for asking for what you want.
Oh, look, is this in your card deck?
Ask for what you want. Ask for what
Yes.
you want.
Oh my goodness.
Amen and
Oh,
hallelujah.
I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. Oh boy.
I can't help it. I'm trying. I'm trying over here.
Anyway, I'm trying to be a better man. I'm trying to be a better man. Oh, that's hysterical.
But
Mm.
I do think there's a concern that's legitimate in all this is this kind of almost automatic, like why not pause, see where this might go. Example
I
that for
don't think you
me,
can come back from what you just said. I don't think you can come back from
hey,
that. I don't
I'm
think
just
you
keeping
can
it
come
real.
back and be like, let me just be the nice guy here. Because I don't heard what you said. We heard
No,
it.
but because it goes both ways. Sometimes I'm impatient. Sometimes I'm like I'm tripping. Example of that, I remember in grad school, we went to this museum, and they said, "Hey, there's gonna be a guy out there who's gonna give you a tour." And we walked in. This dude had some member. There was a guy sitting in the corner, old white dude, had a members only jacket from 1975 with holes in it. I wasn't sure if he was. I didn't know who he was. He just didn't look like he was a tour guide.
Yeah.
Then we said, "Hey, we're looking for the tour guide." He raised his hand and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you the tour." He was the nicest guy in the world,
Right.
well informed, knew
Yeah.
things that I asked him hard questions. He knew all the answers. I was like,
Yeah.
"This is
Yeah.
beautiful." And later on, I said to my friends, "Man, you can't judge a book by its cover."
Uh-huh. And yeah, you two
So
over here talking about some long backs.
I mean, he was also a long back, but still, he did good in the world.
Yeah, so I think it's maybe it's not either or, but it's both and, right?
Yes,
So everybody has a tendency to sort of react to the superficial and take a breath and take a moment and look at what might be beneath the surface.
yes, you definitely got to do that sometimes because you never know what opportunities might be out there.
That's
You never
true.
know.
That's true. That's
Sometimes you
true.
do know.
And when you know, you know.
Yeah, well, you know.
I
Um,
think it's time for a damn card. I need to
it's
reset.
almost. I do want to touch on this whole natural sources of well-being, of mental well-being. It was offered as alternative to mental health
Okay.
screenings in
Give me the
schools.
side eye.
It it's side eye along with Jimmy
What?
Kimmel's firing. Both
Yes.
side eyes.
So what in the hell? So you're referring to Kennedy,
Yes.
right? Basically saying we don't need mental health. Y'all need to eat better
Screenings.
and get support from your families, knowing damn well that sometimes people's families are the main reasons they have mental health issues, not just biologically and genetically either, but environmentally and socially. Now, come on.
And the thing is, my frustration is like, well, yeah, we want to have natural sources of mental well-being, but the problem is that those sources oftentimes are not there. Healthy food, a safe neighborhood, all. I mean, having someone to talk to, having a friend network,
It's such a
activities to do.
privileged stance, and it's so dismissive. Like in this country, we're so dismissive of mental health and mental health issues, right? And it's just such a superficial understanding of deep issues. It's very frustrating and misleading. So what you gonna tell people? Oh, you don't actually need therapy and emotional support. You need to eat better and go talk to your mama and daddy.
I mean, but you know what? We've heard that before, especially in our community. You need to
We
just pray about that. You need to
Wow.
pray on that. You need to take that to the Lord, but don't tell nobody.
But don't tell me that. Don't put your business in the street.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
mean, I know I've heard versions of that, and I think the
Yeah.
real issue is that is following this whole movement of parental rights as far as being able to tell their children, and they feel like that's the government interfering in how their children are going to be raised. And I think this is in part because you had children, or at least people under the age, who were in schools with their chosen names and gender, and parents
Yes.
didn't know about it. So they feel like this mental health screening is just another one of the government's ways of interfering in your life, and you have no idea what's going on with your kid.
But it's kind of confusing because the government can currently interfere with us getting vaccines and saying, no, y'all don't need that on the one hand, because that's what you believe. Even if I want to get one, I can't get one because you, the government, have decided that I can't. And on the
Right.
other hand, removing mental health screenings for parents' choice. I mean, help me understand.
Yeah.
It's
It,
hypocritical.
it's
But like,
hypocritical. It's a double standard.
yes,
And it's hard to predict. And I think that's the challenge. Is the inconsistencies.
yes,
If
yes.
it's consistent, it's consistent in. I mean, a good example of that is that you talked all this nonsense about vaccines and stuff, but here in the state of Texas, I remember when the HPV vaccine came out, they wanted to mandate that here, and folks
Really?
freaked out. But they wanted to mandate it not because it was I mean, it is a good vaccine. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they basically were hooking up their homeboy who was supporting one of the Republican governor at the time, and so he's like, let's make this mandatory so I can basically make a shitload of money. And that's what happened. And so it wasn't even about the vaccine, it was about making money. And so I think it's
Mhm.
always that's what my concern around these, whether it's screenings, whatever. It's like it's always asking yourself, what's the real issue here behind it? What's the end result? Who
Well, true.
benefits from this
Yes.
financially? You
Yes.
know? So I don't know. That's just more of RFK Jr. I always have to make sure I say the junior part, so not
Real
to
June.
defame his daddy, who seemed to
Yeah.
be halfway normal. So that's definitely our side eye. But we do have a little time, so I want to go to our card.
Okay.
Um,
Before we talk about Jimmy Kimmel.
yes, 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 yes. So this is our engagement card here. And our card says non-traditional partnerships might include blank. Non-traditional partnerships might include blank. And for me, non-traditional relationships, it was actually something that I was introduced to in my time when I worked as a clinician at a small Catholic school. Here in Austin, there's a relatively vibrant swinger community and polyamorous community. And even in my dating life, in my personal life, in my business life, I've run into people with these non-traditional ideas about relationships. And I'll
Yeah.
be honest, it was a bit of an adjustment for me because I grew up old school. You find your true blue love only for the rest of your life. And these folks are over here talking about, nah, I mean, we over here doing all kinds of
That's not
stuff.
what we do.
Yeah, and being very committed to it, and it wasn't like some kind of
Yeah.
passing fancy, or it wasn't just
Yep.
kind of in the dark rooms where people was
Yeah.
cheating and stuff. This is open in the air,
Yeah.
like on my chest.
Well,
I'm a
and I think
swinger.
that like swingers are different than, and I don't know all the terminology as a couples therapist. I have worked with polyamorous couples, but you know, it's consensual. There are rules around it. There communication around it, right? Hopefully. And so it's just a different way of being. And it's not for everybody, but it's just a different way of existing in relationships. So that's an interesting answer to the question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because we
it's
all
definitely.
get socialized into this, the same kind of, all right, this is what it looks like. You're going to find your person, you're going to be monogamous, you're going to get married. But that's not what it looks like anymore for a whole lot of people where we settle down and get married. That's not what it looks like.
No, especially with the number of people who are deciding to postpone or not get married at all, or
Yep.
not have children. So
Yep.
definitely, over the last 20 years, I've definitely been exposed to more of these situations. At least here in Austin, I'll speak for that.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Yes. So,
Non-traditional
what
partnerships
I
might
find
include.
interesting, like you have always had, all kinds of friends. And when you are a Black person and a Black woman and you have all kinds of friends, especially given the era that we grew up in, even in today, it is very interesting because people stare at you. What? How's this? Right? Like one of my really good friends when we were in grad school is Chinese American, right? And we're still really good friends. And people are always like, I don't get the two of you. And we're like, what's to get? We're both evil. So we bond over that. Like, what's to get? Why do you have to get it? And so, like,
Did
we
you say
like each other, we're
evil?
good friends. Well, yeah, I mean, graduate school is an evil time. But, uh, and so I think that people see what they want to see, and oftentimes you don't see people who look different in lots of friendships. It's a rare thing. It's still a rare thing. So yeah.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I know you've traveled the country and seen all kinds of stuff. But it's funny how any number of interracial relationships, whether it be a dating relationship, friendship.
Yeah.
My oldest friend I had was this guy named Alan. He's a dentist in Houston right now, and our personalities are not that similar, but we were the outcasts in our middle school at the time. He had just moved from New York. He lived in the a motel the next door because his father was the manager and custodian of sorts. And we were out. Basically, the way we met was by he. I saw him putting the noose, a noose around locusts' necks and having them fly around. And I said, this guy is nerdy enough for me to hang out with.
Oh, he was practicing torturing you to be a dentist.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
And you and he are friends. Okay.
yes. And I'm new. I'm new to school. I don't know anybody, and I'm out there in this field behind a car dealership, and we came best of buds. And yeah. So it's all good. It's all good. Lovely, lovely.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's get into this. Let's get into this side eye.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel. We already know about Colbert from the
Yeah.
CBS TV show. His show is being canceled. I think it's going to be ending in March or May. I can't remember. But he received an award. He's been pretty vocal, so it wasn't immediate. It's a gradual thing
Yeah.
of a TV show that's been around for a really long time. This is different. This fool basically got fired. Uh, he just got fired because of a joke that he told the previous night, basically calling out Trump for basically not basically asked Trump like how you feeling about how you dealing with your friend who just got killed. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay. Let's look over here at this beautiful space that's going to be built by the White House." He didn't spend any time on it, and he was kind of doing what he's been doing, which is making fun of the president and his
Yeah.
kind of obtuseness in a lot of different things. And basically, the following day, they eliminated him, and and I mentioned this to you earlier before we got on, but they're finding that this might be connected to the FCC's approval of a business deal, and that the people who own ABC and Disney and all that stuff were being impacted because there's a business deal that the FCC may not approve, or the
Hmm.
government may not approve, unless they had taken some action like this to appease them,
Yeah.
to bubble up to them. And so, as usual, it seems like all this stuff that's going on today
Money.
is money related.
Well, because when you were like, hey, I want to talk about this, I always do some research on our topic. So I was looking and I was reading and I was like, what did he say? Right? Like he didn't say really much about Charlie Kirk at all. Right. And he
Exactly.
he he poked fun at Trump, which is what he's been doing.
That's what he
So
always does.
I was confused, right? Like what did he say that got him fired? But it makes sense if the what's really behind it is ways to make more money.
Yeah,
Um,
and he's been coming after Kimmel for quite a long time. Kimmel and all the late night, host of these TV shows. And there's been questions about whether they're, profitable or not, but they have a very large platform. You have millions of people
yeah,
who watch them on a regular basis, and they've consistently done a very creative and humorous way of coming
yeah.
after the president. And so
But
using
hey,
Charlie
listen,
Kirk,
even if it was Biden who was still in office, that's what they do, right? Like,
yes,
so if you go back to Johnny Carson, like that's what they do. They poke
yes,
fun at the government. They poke fun at the
yes,
president. As long as it's not, I didn't see anything that he said that was grossly inappropriate about Charlie Kirk or Charlie Kirk's assassination. I didn't read
exactly. Well, and to be honest, we've never, and I looked it up, I did the research. We've never had a FCC come down on an organization in this way where their license is being threatened because
Yeah.
of a joke that maybe for if you have the opinion was poorly a taste a poor not very well structured a joke in poor taste. That's the phrase I was looking for. We've never had. It had to be obscene. It had to be.
Yes. It had to be
It was
obscene.
one of the seven deadly words you're not supposed to say on television. For them to threaten them, their just existence as a company on television,
Suspicious.
never seen this before. And so this is very different situation. And this is, and you can go online and find this out for folks in our audience who are listening. You can find this is a part of the process of leading towards a fascist system of government.
Oh
This
yeah.
is one of those steps.
Censorship, censorship, censorship.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone
So
who speaks out against the authority, censorship, censorship. I mean, yeah.
so it's and I'll be honest. I think every day is kind of a journey in figuring out how to, for lack of a better word, protest, to speak my voice, to go out there and say what needs to be said, to support others who are doing it. But I think people are still trying to figure out what do we do to reverse the tide that seems to be going in the direction that we're currently going. I think there's a lot of uncertainty about it. I do think that people are taking action. I think they're really questioning our government and the politicians, asking them to do more than what they've been doing. I think there's a lot of young voices that are coming up. That are standing out and saying, "Hey, this is ridiculous. We got to move. We can't be doing what we're doing right now." I think what I'm struggling with it seems to be taking so long to turn this big boat around.
Right. Well, that and that voices, right? And in some ways, again, not me defending Charlie Kirk, but when people say things we don't agree with, and again, the things he said, they were vile, right? But
Hmm.
when people say things we don't agree with, we must silence them at all cost is scary to me,
It is
right?
scary. And I guess I wonder, I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but in Nepal and I forget the other country, Gen Zers have been coming out and protesting, and some have actually died, but they're fighting against what they feel to be oppressive regimes. And so I
Hmm.
wonder if it will take that type of courage, for lack of a better word. Again, I don't want anyone to die. I
Yeah,
don't want to see
yeah,
violence, but it seems like those are the things that seem to be happening to push against dictatorships or fascist kind of governments, or these charismatic leaders who are coming in trying to coalesce their power.
yeah,
I mean, Brazil is a different example where they just use their elections to overthrow, to push out their wannabe dictator. But it it feels like waiting another 2.5 years, what, three and a half years, whatever, is going to be a
yeah.
challenge.
Please, yes. Oh,
Yes and yes.
yes, and no. Oh God, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. Well, hey, let's do. We did our side eye, so let's do a card here.
Okay.
Let's do this one. I know we've done it before, but let's do it again. I'm leaving here today with blank. I'm leaving here today with blank.
Mm. Let's see. I'm leaving here today with a sense of somewhat of doom because of some of the things we talked about, but also some hopefulness, right? That eventually we will hopefully learn from the things that are happening.
Mhm.
And hopefully, part of me is a skeptic and part of me is hopeful. So the two sides sometimes don't agree that we will hopefully reassert that it is important to figure out how to get along with people who don't think like you do, who don't look like you do,
Mm.
and get back to at least trying to be civil. I'll take
Mm.
civil and
Yeah.
tolerance. That's the lowest bar, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
It goes a long way to go to be civil and tolerant,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I'm leaving here today. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I mean, there's so much weight on the shoulders of so many different people right now, and it's overwhelming. It could be debilitating. And you know what? I know people who are saying, you know what? I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. I like to believe that if I do have those moments, they're fleeting. That I
Hmm.
come back to the table. And if I'm going to manufacture anything, I'm going to manufacture this sense of hope and authenticity and a commitment to doing the right thing and caring for one another and building relationships. I'm going to manufacture those kinds of things versus the manufactured doom and gloom that seems to be happening. That really is an attempt just to keep power away from people. And so I'm hoping to be not that and be something different and be a light for something that's beneficial for all of us. So
I
that's
like
where I am.
that. I like that. And if all else fails, look at you some pictures of some puppies and kittens.
The puppies, the
Puppies,
puppies.
the puppies and the kids. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Dr. Helm, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much
Always
for
good to see
being
you
with me.
too.
And
And we'll see you next week.
next week, well, enjoy and you have a great day. All right.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye bye.